Imagine you're a bear, catching fish and stealing honey while being hunted by your own kind for 100 days. On day 1, I woke up in my cave with my mama bear. She had just gotten back from getting some fresh fish. Salmon never tasted so good, but something didn't seem quite right. Oh no, brown bears!
You were clawing around my pond. We are here to take back what is ours.
I knew I had to run, but I didn't want to leave her. I took off from the cave and ran all into the night. And before anyone could catch up to me, I found a village. I went inside one of the houses and spent the night in the warmth. Let's just hope none of these villagers think I'm a bad guy. On days 2 and 3, I set out to upgrade myself. As a baby bear, I only have 5 hearts, so protecting myself is a must. I first punched down a tree to get some wood, then made myself a set of tools. This should help me fight off some incoming threats. I went to test out my new equipment in a nearby field, but mostly it was to get some food. I'm getting hungry. Much better. But I really should try this stuff out on more enhanced creatures. I stumbled into the forest and fought a zombie. However, I was still no match for this type of foe. So I fled all night running for my life. After such an eventful evening, I was back on the hunt and my bear self was getting really hungry. At this river, I could catch any fish, salmon, cod, pretty much anything I need to feed myself. I love the taste of fish. Whoa, what's going on? Oh sweet, now I have 7 hearts. Maybe the more fish I eat, the stronger I get. Wonder what would happen if I cooked one of these things. On days 4 and 5, with my new hearts, I need a gear upgrade. Looks like I'm going back into the caves, just not the one I was born in. This should be a helpful resource. A big upgrade from wood is stone. However, it was only a temporary solution to my problem. Iron was what I was after. I journeyed deep into the center of some of the caves and started mining as much iron as I could. I ran into some foes but handled them accordingly. And once I had enough iron, I went up to smelt it. Then I crafted full iron armor. This bear is now prepared for a lot more. With my iron armor, I'm sure to take out all of the monsters of the night. Just not the ones who took my mother away from me. But since I lost my home, it's time to settle down. I should scout for a new area to make a cave, one kinda like my old home. Alright, this area should work. I first started by mining it out. From there I designed the inside of what I wanted my base to look like. I made the entire thing into stone, added in all of the details, and a front gate, because I may or may not have had a gigantic zombie horde attack me during the night. And all of this tough work done, the cave is finished. I now have a place to lay my head and store my fish, which is now cooked, I might add, and tastes delicious. Whoa, 3 more hearts? Maybe I will be able to face those guys. While thinking of ways to get stronger, I figured a viable food source is in order. To do that, I'm gonna have to create myself a farm. And farms are normally done by seeds, which is why I'm punching so much grass. Have you ever tried to get stacks of seeds from grass? Well, I was wandering around the woods for so long doing this project, but it's gonna be worth it once I can put a farm together. On my way back home, I felt like I was being followed. Something just wasn't quite right. I got back to base. Whoa, who are you?
Whoa, please don't hurt me.
Wait, why would I hurt you?
Oh, you're just a black bear. Good.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
No, I just mean you're not with them.
By that, I assume you mean the brown bears who took my home and my mom.
Yeah, they did something similar to me.
Well, come on in. You can stay at my place for a while before we make one of your own. On days 9 through 11, I got to work on making our new friend here a cave. To start the project, we decided on a spot next to mine. Making caves are pretty simple, especially when it's just for a couple of baby bears. We mined out the area, went back to switching it to stone, and then I let my new friend do some of the decorations himself. Well, now that you have your own house, I should probably give you a name.
Name?
Yeah, like what people call you, or what other animals would call you.
Oh, well, you called me Brown Bear.
I've got a better idea. Why don't we call you Brownie?
Brownie. I like it.
Well, Brownie, I'm glad to have you around. Having 2 people is twice the mouths to feed, so I went back to the river to catch some fish. Brownie and I hunted down as much as we could carry. And maybe we should consider making a base around here. It'd definitely make this process easier. While we were doing this, we ran into a shark. But Brownie and I didn't back down. We went and attacked the shark in its own waters. Together, we used our claws and were able to take out this massive behemoth of a shark. And we were rewarded with plenty of fish for the day. I mentioned the food plan to Brownie and he seemed to be on board, so we got to work. What we really wanted was a place where we could go with high access to the water. First we grabbed the materials, which was basically just oak wood. Then we found a great spot to put it. Our idea was to do a dock with a house on the side of it. Obviously, we started off with the dock, and then I moved on to building the house, while it was Brownie's job to do the railing. And once the place was done, it looked amazing. Thanks so much for your help, Brownie.
I may have done something else while you were busy.
Oh yeah, what's that? Whoa, you built this, Brownie? This looks awesome. I think you guys watching should definitely heed Brownie's advice and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to help me create quality content for all of you guys. Thanks for telling them, Brownie. On our way home, we stumbled upon a few sheep. Hey, do you guys want to join us at our home? I'm sure we can make a place for y'all. Just follow me back. Brownie and I will start working on a place for y'all right away. Here's a good spot for a barn. We first started by clearing out the land. I wanted to make a barn that was in the hill but could stick out in case they wanted to feel the rain. We also used a similar design to the fishing hut we've already done, and it was a great place for the sheep to stay. All done. Now you guys have a place to live.
Thank you, Welcome. How can we repay you?
Actually, now that you mention it, can I get a bit of your wool?
Of course, anything for you.
Great, thanks. This is perfect for a future project I have. On day 23, a storm rode into town. It got really loud. What's going on out here?
It's a brutal storm.
Alright, let's go make sure everyone's inside. Whoa, lightning striking everywhere. Take cover. We'll all ride out the storm in the barn. Let's hope it doesn't cause too much chaos. While we were held up in the barn, the storm made a complete and utter mess of our base. Trees were lit on fire, places were exploded thanks to the lightning, and we have so much to rebuild the next few days. Holy cow, this place is a mess. If we're gonna rebuild, I say we may as well upgrade the place a bit. Brownie, what's wrong? What's going on?
Bear in the woods.
Where did that bear go?
Don't let him take me.
Hey, that bear belongs to me.
Hey, that's my friends you're talking about. If you want them, you're gonna have to come through me.
Fine by me.
I fought the big brown bear, but I only had iron gear. I did have double my hearts as before the cave fight, but I still wasn't able to take him. And Brownie was abducted by the brown bears. I have to get him back, but right now I'm still not strong enough to face them. So the only way to save Brownie is to keep leveling up. With that loss, I knew I just had to carry on. Building the base was my first goal. Then we worry about Brownie. First, I started by fixing the things that were destroyed, including the barn, a bit of the farm, and some of Brownie's house. Then I moved on to pure decoration. I've always wanted to do hanging lights around a base, so I decided to add some lanterns and fences from tree to tree. Then I added in some nice pathways with fences and more lanterns to light up the area so we don't have to worry about mobs. And lastly, I bone mealed all of the grass so that everywhere looked so much cleaner. It's now a genuinely nice base. Now that the base is back in order, it's time to get my pal home. But to do that, I really need better gear. So I dived into the caves. There, I was able to find some better materials, such as diamonds, iron, and gold. These should help me make some better tools to get rid of those bears. However, while I was in the caves, I ran into a spider. Still being a little bear, he thought he could take me. Little did he know, I was tougher than I looked. I began the fight, and he stood no chance. Once I took him down, I grew up to be a big bear. I look awesome. Now I just need a few more diamonds to make a full set. Then I should be strong enough to fight those bears. On days 34 and 36, I made some new friends. While I was out mining, some cows strolled up on the base, and the sheep started talking to them. Apparently they're here from another village. I wonder what happened. Hey there, cows, how are you doing?
Our village was attacked.
Attacked? Attacked by what? Who?
Now that you mention it, bears. Brown bears.
We know them all too well. I can make you a place here to stay, if you want, of course.
Yes, that'd be great.
Alright, well then let's get to work. I started by clearing out more land next to our barn. I didn't want the sheep and cows to be too separated. From there I started working on a roofing design so it was more like an out branch from the current barn, instead of me just making another barn to the left. The roof, with a few designs not making it into production, ended up looking really good, and it's a great area I can house these cows. Plus, now I have to go find that village. Maybe it'll lead me one step closer to finding Brownie. Oh wait, what if I just ask the cows? Hey, where was that village you guys came from? I want to see if anyone there needs help or a place to stay.
I can draw you a map if you wish.
Perfect, that'd be great. Then one of the cows handed me a map and I was able to see where it was. So now I just have to head off and find it. On my way to the village, I gathered some more materials, such as sugarcane, which is going to be useful for enchants, and some more fish. A bear gets pretty hungry walking around the forest. Once I came across the town, I started searching for any signs of life. There were plenty of houses, but no one seemed to be home. I even went to a broken town hall to see if anyone was living inside. Hello? Is anyone in here?
Please don't hurt me.
Hey little guy, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm actually friends with the cows who used to live in this village.
You know my friends?
Yeah, I do. I can take you back to them if you want. Is anyone else in the village?
That's me.
Well then let's get you to your new home. We left the town hall and were starting to exit the village when we saw a bear out in the woods. I knew no matter what I did, I was gonna have to fight it to leave with my little friend. So before he even said anything, I charged him right away. The fight was extremely intense. The last bear in this tribe that I had fought, I lost to, so this one, I was doing this for Brownie. I fought long and hard, losing many hearts within the battle, but my claws ended up doing more damage and I won. This bear I was able to take out, and that's a win in my book. Now I can finally get my little friend home, back to his family. Which I might add was a bit of a journey, especially for someone with such little legs. I have to admit, bringing a baby all the way back to the base was something I didn't plan to do for these days, but it's definitely worth it, especially if I can get intel about the brown bears. And hopefully come across Brownie one of these days. Back at base, I knew that all of the animals I was collecting were gonna need a lot more food. I can feed myself with fish, but I have to grow more food and keep it stored, so I went ahead and added a little silo on the back of my barn. Maybe it's just for dramatic effect, but I do think it ties in the barn pretty well, and has a general purpose for my area. And now that I've dealt heavily with the sheep, I wanted to do that project I originally mentioned in the beginning. You know, when the sheep decided to give me a ton of wool. So far, surviving as a bear has been pretty tough, but I want to make a statue of my kind showing off that I am not scared to survive the rest of these 100 days. So me and my little friend went out and scouted an area where we could build this thing. And it turns out he's a bit of an arsonist. You shouldn't play with fire at home, kids, but we used it to burn down some trees. With a flat area now established, we can start the build. Doing the bare feet was the first part. Then once we had 4 of those, we moved on to the body. Instead of using an angry bear, basically meaning a harsh warning towards our town, I kinda wanted it to be cute and welcoming. Hey wait, that's my name. That I actually didn't plan. Anyway, the head was probably the hardest part. Let's just say I don't really know how to make a bear, but overall he looks pretty cute. And I definitely couldn't have done it without my little sheep pal. But now I have to get back on the hunt for Brownie. To do so, I asked around with all of the animals I had encountered so far, just to see if they know of anyone who can help out. I started to hear tales of a beekeeper, someone who's helped animals in the past. He could be a myth, but if it's not, I might be able to use his knowledge to find Brownie, or at the very least, a way to overpower the big bears. So I headed out on my journey to find him. He'd have to be in a heavily wooded forest, somewhere nowhere near me. That could be the only biome he'd be in, especially if he wanted to actually keep bees. So I trekked over hills, swam across waters, and terrained through a jungle just to find this guy. But eventually I strolled up on a cabin in the woods that had to be him. This man was my only hope to save Brownie and stop the brown bears. Hello, Mr. Beekeeper? I need your help. With the beekeeper's help, I should be able to learn some new skills that could help me fight the bears. Or at least collect some power-ups when I face them. First, he wanted me to make nice with some of the bees. You know, try and collect some honey, that kind of stuff. Apparently, it'll help me be one with nature. However, the first time I tried it, every single bee got super angry with me and I had to run into the forest. When I came back, the beekeeper taught me the correct way to gather honey. I smoked out the bees so that they went to sleep and then I gathered what I needed. Not only can I actually gather honeycomb, but I can also do this and gather honey bottles. This stuff tastes delicious. The second skill he wanted to teach me was archery, especially since no other bear is going to be equipped with a bow and arrow. He showed me how it's done, of course a bullseye, and then I took my attempts until I got it right. From there, I trained a bit more and showed off a 360 from on top of a tree directly hitting a bullseye. I think I'm ready with the bow and arrow. From there, he bestowed upon me a little bit more wisdom, and a great tool no bear has possessed in centuries. This beekeeper was entrusted with a bear multi-tool, which means it's an entire set of tools in one. With my mission so noble, he bestowed this power upon me, and we parted ways. I headed home with this new tool, and a new appreciation for how I'm meant to handle this battle. I can't just rush into a fight to save Brownie. I have to think it out and do it the correct way, otherwise I won't win. Now that I'm home, I have to upgrade this multi-tool. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem like enough sugarcane to do that. So I went ahead and made a separate farm for sugarcane. I laid out the area where I would plant it and then started decorating. I continued the oak wood theme as it ties in great with the area. Then once it was done, I planted down all the sugarcane and now we just have to wait for it to grow. But once that happens, we'll make an enchantment table. Instead of just sitting around, I decided to prepare even more. The multi-tool is great, but that is still not going to be enough to defeat all the bears, so I went mining for full diamond armor. Unfortunately, all the caves close to my base have already been scouted, so I had to run away and find a new area to mine. I actually came across the original village I hid out in while running from the bears. Thankfully, these guys were always nice to me, and hopefully I can find a cave near here. Once I did, I started the mining process. The caves had plenty of diamonds that I was able to find and scoop up from my armor set. And thankfully, while I was down there, I was grabbing other ores such as iron, gold, and lapis, the last one especially. Cause without it, I'll do this entire mining trip, go back home, and not be able to use the enchant table cause I don't have lapis. But once I had plenty of diamonds for my set, I headed home. This bear's gonna be maxed out in full diamond armor. But when I crossed paths with the village I just mentioned, it was burning down. It was like the entire village was under attack. Villagers were running around, iron golems couldn't fend off the mobs, and everyone's houses were burning down. So instead of just standing by and watching, I decided to try and save the village. I went on top of the houses using my water bucket to put out fires.
How can we repay you, young bear?
Actually, you don't have to. It was just my duty to help.
No good deed goes unrewarded. Our blacksmith has a gift for you.
Oh sweet, obsidian. I was meaning to get this. Thank you so much. I'll see you around, guys. And with that, I finally made it home with everything I need to craft an enchant table, which is exactly what I did next. I went and grabbed every single thing that I need. I have sugarcane and I have leather from the cows who joined me earlier in the video. And of course, thanks to that iron golem, I have the obsidian to actually craft the enchantment table. Now I just have to set it up. I considered doing it in Brownie's house since I haven't seen her in a while, but I think I can do it justice elsewhere. We have all of these hanging lights around, why not put a hanging enchant table? I may have done this type of build a couple times before, so I was no stranger on how to do this. I centered the enchant table and started putting bookshelves around it in the order needed. Plus, I was able to add in the fence design as we went, so every single bookshelf would technically be hanging. And once I was done, I checked if it was level 30. It was. I enchanted my bear claw, and I think I got the best enchant possible. We now have an unbreaking efficiency and fortune multi-tool, and it's gonna help me take down these bears much faster. But that wasn't the last of the upgrades. I had basically just realized we didn't even have a path from our area to the fishing port that Brownie and I made. So I connected it with a thin path that I'll fill out later. And from there, instead of just crossing this little weird area of water, I wanted to cross a bridge. So I made a bridge wide enough for a bear to cross. And from there, made another fishing port, but this one's in the ocean, not the river. I don't know if there's a difference between saltwater and freshwater in this game, but this bear's gonna find out. And once I was done creating another port, connecting all of the paths together, I tried to fish. I don't think it was as fast as just going around killing fish in the water like a bear normally does, but it was actually kind of cool holding the rod with my paws. But sitting where I was reminded me so much of Brownie. So I decided to ask around about the intel the beekeeper gave me. Apparently, if I want to overpower the bears, there's a special potion I can get. It can take my hearts from 10 to 20, basically doubling the power I have. And to get it, I need to go find a queen bee, collect a flower that she's been holding for centuries, and deliver it to another bee at the beekeeper's place. I don't know why I have to go collect a flower. I should just be able to take the potion from the beekeeper's bee, but I guess I'll go do his busy work. I'll do anything to help Brownie. If this supposed magical bee lives on the top of a mountain, that's where I'm gonna go. I don't exactly know which direction to go, so it was kinda difficult finding this spot. But eventually I landed upon a mountain with a very different forest than normal. Pink and blue trees aren't easily expected in these parts, so I figured this is where it has to be. I ascended the mountain and stumbled upon a fairy-type village. But as I was told before, the flower is at the top with the queen bee, so I climbed even more. Eventually, I found the queen bee hovering over a beautiful flower. Hey, so I'm gonna need that. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's for a good cause, I swear. See, a fellow bear needs my help, and without this, I can't get a potion which will help me save him. And I know you've had this for a long... Oh, wait, really? Well, thank you so much. I actually don't know what to say anymore. The queen bee was so generous that she gave me the flower in spite of not knowing anything about me at all. I wasn't gonna question it though. I had to head to the beekeeper to see if this was the flower he needed. I got off the top of the mountain and started following biomes that I'd previously known to be where the beekeeper was. I don't exactly have a map to his house, but my memory as a bear isn't too bad. So I was able to traverse the landscape, maybe get turned around a couple times, but eventually I landed at the beekeeper's house. Although this time I don't think he was expecting me. I asked him if he had a bee here known as the Behemoth. This was who I was told who held a potion that could double my hearts. The Behemoth came out of his hive and I exchanged the flower for the potion. Now I'll be able to have enough health to take on the brown bear and all of his friends. And hopefully get Brownie back. I thanked the beekeeper for his help and I headed back home. Once I landed, I tried the potion to see if it would work, and sure enough, my hearts doubled. These bears won't know what hit them. As preparations continued to take down the brown bears, I upgraded my armor. I currently only have normal diamond and I wanted to enchant all of the pieces. I spent some time running through upgrades until I had at least full protection 3 armor. I didn't want to take any chance against these bears, especially not knowing how many I'm gonna have to face. Nor do I know how far they are, so I went and gathered more food. I was basically only running on bread, and the rest of what I have has to go to my animals. So I went out fishing, but this time it wasn't with a pole. Instead, I used my multi-tool bear claw to one-shot every single fish. And I even did some fishing at the pond I built the dock at, just in memory of Brownie. Speaking of Brownie, remember when we took out that shark? I wanted to test how strong I was, cause then I was pretty scared to take out a shark, but now I think I can handle him. So I swam out to the ocean and took on 2 sharks, both of them not even being able to touch me. I think it's about time we face these bears. Before I left, I made sure my animals were all fed, gathered up the farms and gave them all of the profits. I honestly don't know if I'll come back from this mission, so that's why I fed them so much. But that's not gonna stop me from taking on these bears. Without an actual way to find out where the bears hide, I decided to go back to Queen Bee, cause she seemed to know that I was coming even before I did. If I can just talk to her, then maybe she will be able to tell me where Brownie is. Then I can save him and stop his captors from doing it to anyone else. But when I arrived in the fairy forest, things didn't seem too great. The Queen's village was on fire. Thankfully, it was raining outside. I went in to make sure everyone was okay, and that's when I ran into Queen Bee. Is everyone okay? That's good. Can I ask you a question? You knew that I was coming to seek your help, but do you know other things too? Like where the brown bears might be? The Queen Bee told me exactly where I could go to find the brown bears. So I headed off from her village, hoping that she could handle the chaos. I headed northwest out of the fairy forest in hopes to find maybe a cave or some sign of the brown bears. When I made it to a plains biome, I saw a beautiful forest ahead. But just then, Brownie started running out of the forest towards me. She instantly ran behind me and told me that the brown bears were chasing her, which means I'm gonna have to take a stand if I'm gonna defend her. Just then, 3 bears emerged from the tree line trying to take me out. The leader sent his goons after me and I had to face them. It was a 2v1, but I know I had the health advantage after getting that potion from the bee. No way was I gonna let these 100 days go to rest, so I took out his 2 goons and it was just me versus him.
You can't stop me.
You're wrong. Your time is up now. I initiated the fight and we went at it. This bear was tougher than his friends, but not as tough as me. Not when I had so many people to fight for. I laid down the final blow and took care of our bear problem once and for all. No one's gonna be tormented by these things ever again. Brownie, we did it. We took out the bears. Now I can finally take you home in peace. And that's what I did. I took my little friend home once and for all. I've been looking for him for all this time, and now I finally get to show him the base I've built. Once we were home, I showed him everything. We started at the bear statue, going through all of the hanging lights and ending at the sugarcane farm. He was super happy to know that his house was not taken down or rented out to another stray. After so many days away, I'm sure Brownie was hungry, so I gave her some salmon, and all of a sudden she grew up. Now there's 2 big bears to help run this town and keep everybody safe.